child of the storm, a child of the Lord. You live your life without getting bored. You lose your mind, but you find it again. Talking about grace and talking about sin. Death's in the world and it's gone viral. Everybody's talking about a new revival. But when it's a question of love and survival, bourbon, bluegrass, and the Bible.
What's going on, YouTube? I'm back. Been a few months since I've released a video. I think it's been since November. I was teaching Bible study at my house. I was releasing videos, teaching CCD at the church, listening to podcasts every day, hours a day. And I just reached a point where I just needed a little break. And I took some nice time off, got to focus on my family, got to watch some Chiefs football, and I got to play some Spider-Man on PS5, and I beat all three of them. So it was a nice little break, but I'm back. And I wanted to just do a video today for those of you who still remember who I am, since it's been a while, but just to talk about what I want to do next with this channel. So the main thing that I've always wanted to focus on with this channel, as many of you I'm sure know, is I've always wanted to focus on salvation. What is the Catholic viewpoint of salvation? At the end of the day, all theology is good, and all things to know and all the facts that we know about theology and scripture is good, but the main goal of theology, the main goal of studying the Catholic faith, is to go to heaven. And I want to be able to teach what the church teaches and what the Bible teaches about salvation. Sometimes with YouTube, we watch people get in arguments, or there happens to be like hot topics. What's going on? What theologian said this? This theologian was on a video, and now let's have all 4,000 YouTube people make a YouTube video about that YouTube video. And I don't want to do that. I don't want to be in like the gossip part so much of YouTube. And I was really kind of asking myself, like, what is it that I try to study, that I try to look up on YouTube that I can't find? And it occurred to me, really, it's the teaching of salvation through the Catholic faith as understood in the Council of Trent. If you were to ever really look at the Council of Trent's section on justification, the sixth session of the Council of Trent dealing with justification, it's really not that long. It's probably the length of, I don't know, maybe the book of Romans or like 2 Corinthians or something like that. But if you try to look up on YouTube just a thorough study where somebody can take you and guide you through the Council of Trent, you'll realize that it's actually hard to find. I haven't really been able to find it on YouTube, and I've looked quite a bit. I'm actually teaching a class. I started my study groups back up, and we're doing a 5-week little course where I'm actually teaching people. We're meeting at a public library, and we're doing a class on the Council of Trent's session on justification, where we are going through word by word all the different chapters and the different canons of Trent on showing exactly what the Catholic Church teaches on salvation. When it comes to the debate between Reformed Protestants and other type of and Lutherans compared to like Catholics, when it comes to these debates that we hear about justification, I'm actually under the persuasion that most people who talk about what Catholics believe with salvation and justification, I'm under the belief Most people don't know what they're talking about. And the people that give these very anti-Catholic viewpoints of Catholics teach that we're saved by works, that Catholics is a works-based righteousness, it's legalism. I'm convinced that these people, some of these very popular people, I'm convinced that they either can't understand Trent or that they actually just have never read Trent. I am going to set out a goal. I want to prove to people, not through my opinions, not through like, well, this one theologian over there said this, or this is in Scott Hahn's one book, it says this. I want to actually prove to people that the Catholic teaching of salvation is that we are saved by being brought into a living personal relationship with Jesus Christ by grace, through faith, not by our merit, not by any works, that we enter into the saving relationship and covenant with Christ by grace through faith, and that this living relationship with Christ is actually what saves us. And I'm going to prove that this is actually what the Council of Trent teaches. That the Council of Trent teaches that no one deserves to be saved, that no one deserves to be brought into a relationship with Christ. I'm going to prove that the Council of Trent teaches that by our own nature as Gentiles, by our own ability for morality as Gentiles, and that through the law given by God, through Moses, that no one can be saved by those things. That both the natural ability of man and even the law from God itself has no ability to save man. Man cannot be saved by our own goodness, by our own morality. We can't even be saved by the law. And I will prove to you this is what Trent teaches, that we are dependent then on grace, on mercy. And that what merits our salvation, the meritorious cause of our salvation, is Jesus Christ and what he did on the cross. I also will prove in this series that I'm going to start, I'm going to prove that as far as being saved by a relationship with Jesus, that there is no other faith, no other Christian denomination that emphasizes more than the Catholic Church how we are dependent on this living, true relationship with Christ to save us, and that this relationship that we enter into is by grace. If you actually take the time and go through this series that I'm going to start, if you're a Protestant, listen, I am not going to do this series to show all Protestants are just evil and they're terrible people. But I will prove to you that many of the famous Protestants that people listen to, whether it's Sproul or MacArthur or James White, I will prove that many of these people do not either understand what Trent says or that they're lying. And I know you're thinking, well, Nick, these are really smart people, and you're trying to say like you understand something but they don't understand it. Listen, we're going to read word for word through Trent. I'm going to show the wordage on the screen. You yourself will be able to read through this with me. And you're going to see, I'm going to explain the terminology to people. You will see for yourself what Rome actually teaches. If you can go through this session on Trent and on justification, if you could go through it and you still believe that Trent teaches that we work our way into heaven and that we're saved by being our own good person, then I'll be honest with you, I don't know how somebody could do that. this Trent should be something that encourages you. Trent should be something that uplifts you. Trent should be something that really shows you how grateful we need to be that God saves us through his mercy. That God saves us, that while we were still his enemies, God sends Christ to die for us. For Christ to be the sacrifice that makes satisfaction for our sins. That Jesus and what he did on the cross is what gives us peace with God. So this is the next step forward on this channel. I don't know how many weeks or how many videos it will take. It might take 5, it might take 6 or 7, but I promise you, I want to be able to do this to where you'll be able to have somebody actually read through Trent, somebody who can break down the terminology so it's understandable, and I want you to read it for yourself. And I want this to be something where if somebody's like, I've tried to read Trent on justification, I can't understand it, and I can't find a good study series through Trent on justification. I want these videos to be something that you could go to, that you could show your friends about, that you could keep going back on, and that you could just read what Trent actually says. You're going to be shocked how biblical it is. You're going to be amazed at the beauty, and you're just going to be amazed of how much emphasis it gives on Christ being who saves us. And Trent will prove we do not save ourselves, that God saves, and that this is the teaching of the Catholic Church. I'm going to throw a couple words, a couple phrases out to you just to kind of show you what we're going to get into. Things that I've said before. But again, if you're having conversations about justification with people, if you're a Protestant and listening to a Catholic, if you're a Catholic talking or debating with Protestants, I myself often see Catholic response videos to Protestants on justification. Many of them I cringe on. There are many Catholics Catholic YouTubers, Catholic channels that are way bigger than mine, where I actually don't believe that they are representing what the Catholic Church teaches in the right way. And many of these people that they will debate Protestants on justification or try to defend the Catholic view of justification, of how we're saved by faith and works, which I'm going to tell you that's not the Catholic viewpoint of justification, that we're saved by like it's half faith and then it's half works. That's not the Catholic viewpoint. But when you're going to see a lot of these videos with Catholic YouTubers trying to defend the Catholic viewpoint of justification, and they really are defending often a belief that Catholicism doesn't really have. And that's why it sounds weird, but on many Catholic YouTube channels, some of these very popular ones, you hardly ever see them actually just bring up huge section and quotes from the Council of Trent, which this is when the Catholic Church was really trying to respond to the Protestants in the heights of the Protestant Reformation. I am going to try to explain to you guys from Trent itself. This is during the time of the Reformation. What was it that the Catholic Church was worried about, where some of the reformers were going too far? And where was it when the Catholic Church understood that certain reformers had certain valid complaints against some bad theology that was happening by some Catholic theologians at the time? And again, if you are discussing with somebody about justification by faith alone and how do I respond to it, and you're just like, I'm just going to go to James 2 for the 4,000th millionth time, if that's your game plan and you don't understand the difference between the justification of the godly versus the justification of the ungodly. If you don't, then don't talk about justification with Protestants. If you don't understand how our entrance into our relationship with Christ and our initial justification is by grace alone, through faith alone, unmerited. If you don't understand that, don't debate Protestants, because you might be debating and defending a faith that the Catholic Church does not actually have. If you don't understand the Catholic viewpoint, that we don't believe in justification by faith plus works, but we believe in justification by faith formed or empowered by the virtue of charity, by the virtue of the love of God poured out into our hearts. Like, if you don't understand fides caritate formata, if you don't understand that, don't debate with Protestants. We're going to go through Trent. We're going to learn all of this stuff. And then this will give you the tools and the ability and the language to truly be able to defend the faith. And you're going to understand you don't have to just throw out every aspect of imputed righteousness. You don't have to throw that out. You don't have to throw out all understandings of like a penalty substitution or penal substitution. You don't have to throw that out. You're going to see how the Council of Trent has an allowance for a certain understanding of faith or justification by faith, even unmerited faith. You're going to understand, you're going to see this. You're going to see how Trent actually defends imputed righteousness. You're going to see that. And you're going to see how Trent really shows how we are saved by a living relationship with Christ. This is what I think will be helpful for all people, and I hope that this will be something that you guys will like. So, again, I apologize to many of you guys for taking this much time off. Some of you guys might be happy that I did. But I just kind of wanted to let everybody know what's been going on with me and what the plan is next. Also, one thing that I would like to do that I've never done is I would like to do like a live stream one day. I've never done that, just to be able to, there's a lot of cool, a lot of you guys that are just cool guys, and I'd like to be able to have a stream with some of you guys. And again, I don't want this channel to just be something that's just about like, I really don't care about views. I'm just being honest with you. I don't care about likes. I don't care about, it's good because it helps the channel if it's good. But at the end of the day, this is not a game. Like YouTube, Catholic YouTube, being a YouTube creator, it's not a game. I want people to go to heaven. I want to go to heaven. And at the end of the day, you could have 40 million subscribers. If you don't go to heaven, if you don't help anybody go to heaven, then your YouTube channel will be something that will harm you, not help you. That's the goal. So if you're a Protestant, I want you to be able to watch my channel and not to think that I'm just looking to totally bash everything that you think or whatever. My more personal thing with a lot of Protestants is I think a lot of them have misunderstandings about Catholicism. I think that when it comes to justification, we're closer than we think. And I want Catholics to understand, how much we are dependent on grace and what Christ has done, and that this is the teaching of the Catholic faith. And I want this to be encouraging to you guys. So it's going to be next week that I'm going to release the first video session going through Trent. I'll probably try to cover like 5 chapters. I think you guys will really like it, and I just wanted this to be something that you guys can know is coming up. You could keep your eye out on, and I gotta fix my flag. The wind got it, and I just want this to be something that this video just to tell you and update you on what's been going on. All right, guys. Well, it's good to be back, and God bless. Pray for me. I'll pray for you. Go Chiefs.